Welcome to the channel about news from around the world. While you subscribe and like it, we're going to start.
France's leadership has some pretty nasty ambitions, and President Macron is no exception. In short, there has been talk that Macron is so confident in his leadership skills that his entourage is beginning to probe the ground for a third term. For example, former President of the National Assembly, Richard Ferrand, has spoken out against a limit of 2 consecutive terms for French presidents. He believes this would only prevent France from moving forward. Can Macron achieve his goal and remain in power for a third term? Various opinions on the matter raise questions, but in order for this to happen, he will have to prove his willingness and support from the citizens. What factors will determine the success or failure of his enterprise? Are there risks that could prevent Macron from achieving his goals? All this will only be known in time, when the subtle nuances of political life begin to be examined more closely. Richard Ferrand, an election expert, insists that the French must have freedom when it comes to elections and trusting someone in power. He criticizes the constitution for its restrictions that infringe on people's sovereignty, such as term limits on the presidential mandate and non-coordination of mandates. As we understand it, Macron has only 2 problems here. The first is the constitution, which forbids such a feint. And the second is the people, who do not want Macron in power now, let alone for a third term, let alone change the constitution for that. And change requires either a referendum or the support of 60% of the National Assembly. Although it is always easier with politicians, even they may not take such a gamble. Such changes provoke a strong public reaction because they lead to big political changes. Changing the constitution requires careful thought and debate, and without sufficient public support Macron may face resistance to changing the constitution. This is largely because the current constitution is an important element of French political history, and many French citizens hold it in high regard. Whatever it may be, Macron must understand that any changes he may make to the constitution carry with it great responsibility, and it will take really strong arguments to convince the French to make such changes. The end result will be to unite or divide society, to maintain the status quo or to change it. It is conceivable that France could see Emmanuel Macron as president again. Roselyne Bachelot, Macron's former culture minister and pal, claims that everyone wants to see Macron as president for a third time. And if this idea is constantly repeated and published in the media, we can indoctrinate the French with it by 2027.
Thank you for watching. If you're interested, subscribe and leave a comment.